Hello everyone, this is your host BB Flower. Welcome to another episode of my podcast, and today's topic is quite grim. Have you been fascinated by serial killers? Don't lie, I have. Most people are. I mean, come on. Have you seen all these documentaries that come in and they top the charts like crazy as soon as they hit the market? It makes me wonder, who we are as humans, because death and sex are two things that are most in demand, and we don't want to admit that. I mean, have you seen people cheering for soldiers when they go to war? What about the other side? That is also gearing up to kill. And I want to read a quote here since I brought up death. You cannot experience the death of anybody, not even the death of your near and dear ones. What you experience is the void created by the death of someone you love, by U.G. Krishnamurti. I took this from something that went on between Mahesh Bhatt and I think Narayan Murthy was there too, while they were writing U.G.'s biography in California in 1991. So I actually took a lot of what was said from this piece because there was a lot of discussion around death in there, and it was over the course of 30 days, all this discussion. So in that, UG said something interesting about selfishness when it comes to the death of our loved ones, and he said, death is the release of the person who is suffering, but even here you would rather maintain your permanent relationship with the suffering man and keep him going with the help of those life support systems, rather than face the void created by his death. Do you see how selfish you are? So the problem here is that most people don't even know what DNR is, and I have mentioned this before. I came to know of it when I went for my surgery, my cancer surgery, and I had to fill that form, and the nurse was really nice about it. She was like, it's just routine, you just have to fill it out, it's not like you're gonna die, but we just do it, just in case. And my father also did not want to be on life support, but when he was going through dialysis, and I was there with him, actually, he went into a cardiac arrest and left us, but the team came rushing. It was code blue, I think they call it, and they came rushing and they revived him. And then my mother came and she was like, your father did not want to be on life support, and we talked to the doctor and he was like yelling at us, and it took us like 5 days to remove him off of life support. So please, if you don't wish to be on life support, go ahead and create a DNR document along with your will, of course. So, and I'm going to do that too. So then I moved on to the idea of suicide, and because I was reading this, the whole piece on internet, and I read this interesting thing that UG said, of course related to death. He said that the ending of want is death. And a person that talks of suicide, they always say, I want to die, or that I don't want to live. So this I is always there. And I think that's what UG meant, that ending of the want is death. If you still want something, you don't want death, or you still are wanting, and death is not want. It's the end of want. So anyway, back to today's topic, which is serial killers. I have written a great deal about this in my book, I Subscribe. And it is a prequel to Yama, but it can be read as standalone. It has no bearing with Yama. And Yama is actually taken from a chapter from all Kaal, but then even Yama can be read standalone. You don't need to read all my other books. Of course, you will be able to make good connection if you do, but if you don't, it's okay too. So when I was writing I Subscribe, it was about, like, in I Subscribe, the main theme is about causing death at a massive scale. It is about dystopian life. So, and the parallel killer from Yama is being confronted in I Subscribe in the past. So I wanted wanted to write something in line with what Yuji had explained, so I researched on what he had said about thought also, because I was very curious about the relationship between thought and death and serial killers. And so Yuji said, it, which means thought, is a mechanical thing and can solve only mechanical problems. But you want to use it to understand something living. That is the problem. It is not intended for that. Human problems are something living. You cannot use thinking to solve problems. Based on this, I feel that serial killers are not thought-driven. So I'm going to read another excerpt from iSubscribe, which was based after I read this and researched Yuji Krishnamurti. So here there is ranting going on from the main character. He's like ranting and he's saying, subconscious is the indigenous coding in the body for its survival. What humans claimed as conscious effort was thought-driven flattery for its continuation. Consciousness and thought operated autonomously. Any amount of training, discipline, exercising, and practicing would only polish what came to them instinctively. Societal conditioning suppressed natural appetites, never eliminating them. Serial killers act out their instincts on impulse. Such brands of people fall into loners. And a state of loneliness was mental as well, not always physical. Isolation made them evade the clutches of conditioning. A drive of their nativity made them psychos. Genesis compulsion, not logical thinking or reasoning. Because thought was too slow to tally with native intelligence. That's why thinking would delay crucial responses during the need of the hour. Thinking was manipulation. Survival was spontaneous. Hence, killing in defense was justifiable, but not a premeditated murder. So, in essence, we as humans already know that thought is slow. The law uses that to determine the outcome of a crime committed. If it is a premeditated crime versus something in defense. And Yuji had given an excellent analogy on this. He said, thought can never capture the movement of light. It is much too slow. It is like lightning and thunder. They occur simultaneously, but sound traveling slower than light reaches you later, creating the illusion of two separate events. Whereas it's only one. I think that's what Yuji was trying to say. So in my previous podcast, I had said how these corporate companies are running to reach bigger and higher goals every quarter. They want to invent things to make life better, and I always wondered what was behind that. What was the psyche behind such a thought process? And then I came to equate corporate culture with serial killing, and I wrote the following in my book iSubscribe, just not to sound so harsh in my take. So here the main character is actually conversating with the serial killer, and the main character says, a serial killer is a psycho who doesn't brutalize for payback but takes pleasure in the brutality, conceding to compulsions. And so the serial killer replies, by that measure, every invention is a serial killer. So the main character says, most certainly it is. Any discovery results in sure-shot death of some or many, yet that bit remains masked from the rest. Since I'm not here to fuck spiders, I intend to eliminate you to save the future from your cravings. So anyway, in the end, I have come to believe that we are no different from anyone. We might feel that way, but there is not much difference when it comes to serial killer versus a serial eater. Because they both know what they want and they are both driven by compulsion. Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.